Hi creators, it's Claire from Springworth and it's time to start making the inside of my reversible hexagon body warmer, so sleeveless jacket. And this is the fabric pool, which you've probably already seen if you've seen any of the other episodes in this where I've made the hexagons. If you haven't, go back and check those out. So I'm working with this paisley in this really light blue grey. I have this beautiful sea mist, stormy sea mist blue, this really light grey but with that kind of green tint through it with some little tiny spots on, and then just another solid in this really pastel green covered in cat hair to set it all off. And the plan is for strips of varying sizes, so the strips will stay a consistent width, and I do want them quite thin, so I'm probably thinking about 1.5 inches finished, but varying lengths, so there's a real, you know, mishmash of lengths as you go through the jacket, maybe some squares, some longer. So let's start cutting up this beautiful fabric and get to work. I went ahead and created this quick strip and rolled it up onto an old thread spool and rolled it up like a bandage. And it's just 2 inches of a block collar at this point, and then eventually you'll hit a square seam. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into different lengths, so I might cut this one here and then I might cut this one here, so there's a little square. Try not to get anything less than a square, that will be a little rule for myself. And then start piecing them vertically, to give that effect of lots of slim rows, but all in different heights. So I'm going to do this and then I will see how much fabric I think I need to make, because I cut only a few strips full width and I have a lot of fabric to work with, so I'm going to cut those up and see how much patchwork that makes. I now have funfetti, so I went and just added a piece to all of the subcuts and then just put 2 of the subcuts together, and now I have to try to piece these so that the colours don't join. Really quickly, I've gone from 5 block colours into this patch kaleidoscope almost of different pieces all together, and I do have a lot of that really light green, so I need to add some more in. Now I have noticed that if my ends aren't cut nicely, I get this unaligned piece, and you can see that the cream piece is dropping in and the paisley is dropping in too. But I'm going to fix that quite easily just by opening the seam up and doing a new seam and making sure that when I align the pieces, I'm aligning the two lengths rather than the two ends, because the ends are not necessarily cut on the perpendicular. So really happy with that. I'm going to add in some more colours. Now I have tested the concept. The green I really wasn't bothered about. It was $2 from the charity shop. So I'll add in some more colours and chop up. I'm not quite sure how long I want a section to be. Like that would be pretty much half the length of the jacket, and I'm not sure if that's too long. So I'll sit with kind of my maximum length. The minimum length ones, the little squares, if I can find one, love those, happy with those. But I think I probably need some more variety. But the good thing about this technique is that, so I've got these two here that are pretty much the same length. All I have to do to change that is to chop one and add something else in. So I could quite easily change either of these to be a square, like this one to be a square, or to be a 2/3 of this length. Even just flip this one around, sew it back on, and it's going to look different. So it's really easy to quickly piece and then to kind of refine and to finalize how you want it to look. So I'm excited to see it with some more colour in. So really add in some more of the paisley and the blue in particular, because there's not that much contrast between the cream and the light green. On reflection, I confirmed something I suspected in I have too many low volume, so too much light. Like there's not a heap of contrast in this. Like there's the blue, dusty blue, but even the print, when you cut it, it doesn't have that much kind of emphasis or saturation, that's the word I'm looking for. And the two, the cream and the green together, very difficult to tell apart. So I may have had to go to the fabric shop and make a purchase, and I got this, and it's kind of a deep dusty denim, and it's got tiny little patterns on, and I looked at a lot of things and I chose this because of the size of the print. I really think it goes well with the size of that Liberty or Liberty-esque print, that small scale. It was kind of difficult to find something between blue and green, which is where I was kind of going with this. But look, I just think that looks great with the blue. I think it looks great with the Liberty-esque. Probably shouldn't call it Liberty if it's not, I'm not sure. Like I said, it was a donation from my mother-in-law. And then I think it goes really nice with those two. Now it's not white, so it does match in with the cream spots, and it actually almost blends in with the green. So I really need to bring in more of the colour, more of the blue, more of that original print, and reduce the amount of green and cream. So it's really got that contrast, because you need that in order for the pattern to kind of play out. If I just put these next to each other, you're really not going to see much of the pattern, much of the, you know, stripes and lines. So I'll introduce some of this. Definitely reduce the amount of the light green and the cream, and then I'll have another little evaluate and see if I need another trip to the fabric shop. I've just added then some extra blue, some extra paisley, and some of the new dark fabric, and I'm loving that, how that looks. Much more balanced, if I can show you, much more balanced, much more interest, much more contrast. So happy with those. I will now work out the length of the strips that I need to cut for the jacket, and then start piecing them together so the strips are kind of that stacked and they will piece down that way. Now I am going to have some colour matching. I'm going to just have to learn to live with that, because it is intended to be a little bit random. I'll try my best not to get too long strips side by side, because I can always subcut these and introduce some additional colours. So that is the next step. This came together so quickly in comparison to the hexagons. So let's keep going. So Colin's happy on the pattern piece, and I'm simply going to use these pieces, that's the back, 2 fronts, to measure the length of these. So I'll take that, cut these strips, and then make more, clearly. I spent a little bit of time last night arranging these to this, which I am fairly happy with. Trying to avoid too much of the same fabric together, too much of a pattern, and then too much of a nesting seam. So I don't want the seams to be slightly off and look like they should be nested. So I am happy with this arrangement. I will go ahead now and sew it together, and there will be collars adjoining. That's totally fine. It is intended to be random. So this is the first section of my arrangement. Let's see how it looks sewn together. I have my 7 pairs sewn together, and I will iron them this time before piecing them, because I do like an ironed open seam. So I'll come back to you when this is one nice big piece. Here it is then, the finished piece. I guess you'd call it a break, but if there's a term that I don't know, this pattern, please let me know in the comments. But I just love how it looks. It is going to run with the stripes going down, because I'm going to run the quilting across. So that's going to look awesome. This piece started off 28 inches when I just laid all the pieces down. It's now 22, which is good to know. It is 3 strips too wide for a front piece, but a number of strips too narrow for a back piece. So I will turn it into one of those. I really love how this looks. I'm so happy with this. So I will come back to you when I have 3 pieces made in total. And then in the next installment, we will start actually making the jacket, which I'm really excited with. And if you have enjoyed this episode, as I said, subscribe, check out the membership Stitchable Co, where we do all things craft, all things stitching together. And I'll see you next time.